generation, always work on succession, and we're constantly bringing up the new leadership within this department. So as we leave it in a better place. And so tonight, being promoted from sergeant to Lieutenant George Godwin. Mayor, you want to join me, please? Being promoted from corporal to sergeant, Jason Henson. Still got it. I still got it. All right. From officer to corporal, Stanley Pertain. You gotta smile. Make him smile. Make him. Hey, cheesecake. Come on. Come on. Good job, buddy. And from officer to senior officer, Sidney Bumpers. You gonna do a real smile, you gonna do that smirk, what are you gonna do? Real smile? All right. All right, buddy. They may not be the most photogenic group, but they are outstanding law enforcement professionals. I'm very proud of each one of them. Again, there's a lot of work that goes into this, and it's an accomplishment for each one of them today. I'm glad their families are here and that you're here to witness that as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. We're also going to recognize several state champions from Spanish Fort High School tonight. First, I'd like to ask Braden Gress if you'll come up tonight. Feel free if you'd like your family to come too. So Braden won the 2026 6A Class State Wrestling Championship for the 132-pound weight class. So we're proud of him. Congratulations. So just read this to you real quick, Braden. Whereas Braden Gress, a student athlete at Spanish Fort High School, demonstrated exceptional dedication, perseverance, discipline, and athletic excellence throughout the 25-26 wrestling season. And through hard work and determination, Braden successfully advanced through a highly competitive field at the 2026 Alabama High School Athletic Association Class 6A State Wrestling Championships, earning victories in the quarterfinal and semifinal rounds to advance to the championship match. And Braden captured the Class 6A State Championship in the 132-pound weight class with a dominant performance in the finals, defeating David Hill of Oak Grove by fall and earning the title of Alabama State Champion. Whereas this remarkable achievement made Braden Gress the first wrestler in the history of Spanish Fort High School to win an Alabama High School Athletic Association championship in the 132-pound weight class, further strengthening the proud tradition of excellence established by the Toro Wrestling Program. And Braden's commitment to sportsmanship, character, determination, and competitive excellence has brought distinction to himself, his family, Spanish Fort High School, and the entire city of Spanish Fort. Now, therefore, I, Brad Bass, Mayor of the City of Spanish Fort, on behalf of the City Council and the citizens, do hereby recognize and commend Braden Gress for his outstanding accomplishment in earning the 2026 6A State Wrestling Championship in the 132-pound weight class. Be it proclaimed that the City of Spanish Fort congratulates Braden on this historic achievement and expresses its appreciation for the pride and honor he has brought to the Toro Nation and our community. Given under my hand and the Great Seal of the City of Spanish Fort, first day of June, 2026. Rising junior, so we can expect back-to-back or a three-peat? No pressure. All right, congratulations. All right, next we're going to recognize several state champions as well. The 2026 Spanish Fort High School women's golf team, the Alabama High School Athletic Association Class 6A state champions. Guys, you want to come up? Whereas the 2026 Spanish Fort High School women's golf team achieved the highest level of success in Alabama high school athletics by capturing the AHSAA Class 6A state championship, and through extraordinary dedication, discipline, teamwork, perseverance, and sportsmanship, the Lady Toros completed an undefeated season, winning every tournament in which they competed, and established themselves among the most accomplished teams in the history of Spanish Fort High School. Whereas the 2026 AHSAA State Championship Tournament, the Lady Toros delivered a commanding performance, winning the state championship by an astounding 19 strokes over Pike Road High School. And individual honors were earned by several members of the team, including Sarah Carter Hare, who captured the individual state championship and low medalist honors with an impressive score of 6 under par, Ainsley Madden, who finished 4th overall at 3 over par, and Bailey Reaper, who earned an 11th place finish at 15 over par. And the city of Spanish Fort proudly recognizes the contributions of every member of this championship team: Bailey Reaper, Sarah Carter Hare, Ainsley Madden, Aubrey Taylor, Fiona Doyle, and Eva Catherine Thrasher. And special recognition is due to Coach Emily Hudson, whose exceptional leadership, dedication, and commitment to excellence guided the Lady Toros to an undefeated season and state championship. Whereas the accomplishments of this team have brought tremendous pride and distinction to Spanish Fort High School and the entire city of Spanish Fort, I, Brad Bass, Mayor of the City of Spanish Fort, on behalf of the City Council and the citizens of Spanish Fort, do recognize and commend the 2026 Spanish Fort High School women's golf team for their remarkable achievements and congratulate them on earning the title of AHSAA Class 6A state champions. Given under my hand and the great seal of the City of Spanish Fort, Alabama, on this first day of June, 2026. Congratulations. Coach Hudson, would you like to say anything? No pressure. Sorry.
I'd love to. I've had the opportunity to celebrate this team a lot recently. We're very thankful that the school board also honored us with a recognition, local news stations, local radio stations. So I feel like it's been a full-time job bragging on these incredible athletes and this wonderful team. Their undefeated season is just an insane stat that we are so proud of. This championship that they've worked so hard for after years of coming back home with a red map in second place. We're just so proud of them. We're also so thankful for our mayor and councilmen that were able to attend the state championship as well in person out at Magnolia Grove and come support us. This is just such a deserved success for these young ladies. We are so, so proud of them and looking forward to another great year next year. Go Toros.
So, Bailey, I know you're a senior, you're graduating, so Ainsley, no pressure. But like I asked Braden, we need a repeat next year. So, and Sarah Carter couldn't be here. I think you said she's at church camp. We appreciate you guys. Thanks so much.
We thought that the coach was one of the kids on the team.
All right, a few more quick announcements. Spanish Fort Public Library has their summer reading registration open right now. You can access that at SpanishFortPublicLibrary.org. This year's theme is Unearth a Story. Please join us tomorrow at the Public Library as they kick off the reading program for the summer at 10 a.m. For the Dino Party Kickoff. You're welcome to dress up as a dinosaur, archaeologist, paleontologist, or anything else related to the dinosaur theme. Summer reading is proudly sponsored by the Friends of the Spanish Fort Public Library. They look forward to seeing everyone there tomorrow. Next, we'll look at old business. Ordinance number 738-2026. Mr. Connor, would you mind reading that, please?
Mayor, ordinance number 738-2026 is an ordinance changing the zoning classification of certain property located at 11699 U.S. Highway 31 from R1 to M1. The applicant has requested that the property be rezoned from R1 single-family residential to M1, the light industrial zoning district. This property came in to the corporate limits under an annexation act by a local legislative act, and under the zoning ordinance is assigned an R1 classification. The Planning Commission held a public hearing on May 11, 2026, and in accordance with the terms of the zoning ordinance, the City Council and Planning Commission can recommend a lower zoning classification, the city council a more restricted zoning classification, and the city council can also zone the property to a more restricted classification than what has been requested. After the public hearing and looking at the area and surrounding area, the Planning Commission forwarded a positive recommendation to rezone the property to B4 Major Business District instead of the M1 Light Industrial District. A copy of the legal description of the property is attached to Exhibit A, and also attached to Exhibit 2 is a map showing the relationship of the property to the corporate limits of the city of Spanish Fort. In that area, there's some unzoned areas of the county. There's also areas that are in the corporate limits of the city as well. There's a lot of, some of the things that the Planning Commission looked at and spoke about was that there's a lot of single-family residential homes in that area. And it is transitioning from an industrial area like you have on the south side of 31. You have Everwood on the north side. It begins to step down and go to less intensive use and more residential as you go to Churchill Subdivision, Whisper Woods, Grace Magnolias, all of those areas in that area. And so some of the discussion was that while they might be comfortable with some business zoning classification in that area, that they were not comfortable with an M1 classification and recommended a B4. And so because this is a transition area and because it's surrounded by an unincorporated area, this is one that deserves special attention and review, which the Planning Commission gave in their recommendation and work session. One of the things that was also encouraged was that we encourage people that are in the area to be aware that there'll be a public hearing coming up and invite them to give comments on that change.
All right, thank you, Mr. Connor. There will be a public hearing on this on the 15th, so we invite anyone there, either property owners or in the surrounding area. I know there's several neighborhoods to come out and voice your opinion on this. I don't know if you guys have any additional comments.
Not a whole lot to say other than just as we look at the city as a whole, I do think it's appropriate that we consider a more restrictive zoning than a M1 for sure, and perhaps even more restrictive than a B4. Particularly concerned about the non-conforming uses that are on either side of it, and as they were to transition in the future, I think it would be more appropriate for a B3 type use to be consistent with the properties across the street and just everything to the east of Jesse, that we would continue to not allow industrial type uses in that area.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Smith. Anyone else? All right, we'll have a public hearing on this on the 15th. I do agree, Mr. Smith, there's kind of a normal mark of transition there with Jesse Road, and you go from industrial to Everwood. As you move east, it steps down, so going up, again, doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but we do invite the public to come on the 15th and have a conversation around that. We can have copies of the maps and everything there for them to see if they're not familiar with the area, but especially the neighbors that are close by, they could come out on the 15th. Next, we'll look at resolution number 1596, 2026. Mr. Connor?
Mayor, this is a proposed resolution authorizing the issuance of a municipal sales and use tax exemption certificate for the Mobile River Bridge and Bayway project by the city of Spanish Fort. As you know, this is a multi-billion-dollar project that is anticipated to take, once it begins construction, up to 10 years to construct. Normally, governmental projects like ALDOT's projects, City of Spanish Fort projects, are tax exempt as it relates to purchases that will be used and or incorporated in the construction of those improvements. There's been some slight changes in the law that does require the City Council to express its opinion or approval of that type of exemption. And so the City of Spanish Fort has been asked to pass this resolution by ALDOT by and through the contractor that's been assigned to perform the work. It's my understanding that the City of Daphne has approved the tax exemption, as well as the City of Mobile, and I believe Mobile County has, based on the last conversation I had with the attorney. Baldwin County has not yet approved it, but it's my understanding that it will be on an upcoming agenda for them. The tax exempt certificate or information has to be communicated to the state of Alabama on or before July 1, 2026, and so this has been introduced and is up for your consideration.
All right, thank you, Mr. Connor. Any conversation around this item tonight? As I mentioned in the work session, there's an Eastern Shore Metropolitan Planning Organization meeting tomorrow that ALDOT has called with a lot of the folks here in Baldwin County and on the Eastern Shore to kind of discuss where the project is and moving forward. So I think if we hold this over to the 15th, some of those questions that we've got some answers to, some we don't. Maybe we can get some of that tomorrow, and then move forward with this on the 15th before that July 1st deadline. All right. Next, we're going to look at ordinance number 739, 2026. Mr. Connor?
This is a proposed ordinance amending ordinance number 728, 2025 of the City of Spanish Fort, establishing the zoning classification of certain property known as Longleaf, a planned unit development. The Planning Commission held a public hearing on May 11, 2026, and on Tuesday, May 26, 2026, for the purpose of receiving public comments on proposed changes to the PUD narrative and master plan, along with some exhibits for the Longleaf planned unit development. In particular, they have requested certain amendments be made to allow for temporary uses of portions of the property in order to open the golf course beginning on July 1. The ultimate goal is to build a large scale clubhouse on the site that would include a pro shop as well as a restaurant and other uses and adjacent to the clubhouse, including driving range and other computer simulated type uses at that site, putting range, etc. But that takes a little bit of time, and they've also are waiting to do some more lot sales and development as well. The golf course, however, unlike many types of developments, a lot of times they build the homes first until they reach a threshold, then they build the amenities. Well, this is just the opposite. They've already built the golf club. It's there available to drive and be able to be used, and so their plan is to open that in July. So they've made some changes. One of those is tree protection, because it is a natural site and they want to limit as much clear cutting as they can. Unlike many developments where most of the trees are cut in different phases of the subdivision, they're only going to cut the areas where they have to cut in the roads, and they'll come back and clear later. So there's some changes or alterations on how they map out trees for tree protection and the landscaping and the timing of that. In addition, there's approximately 6 lots at the end of the first phase of the subdivision that's been constructed that they would like to allow for temporary pro shop access to the golf course, including a place to locate and transition from golf carts to automobiles. And so this would allow for that temporary use. It would also allow for the existing house that's located there to be converted to what they call a vision center, which is basically a model home to communicate information about the development going forward. And then the temporary use on the 6 lots would be allowed through July 31 of 2028. And after that time, they would have to submit or transmit or move all facilities over to the ultimate golf clubhouse site, where they could operate on a temporary basis there, pending the construction of the clubhouse, which should be completed on or before December 31, 2031, at which time all temporary uses would be removed in favor of the completed clubhouse. In addition, the construction of the golf course involves phases or time and doesn't lend itself to having a site plan for every small phase or change. So there's an overall golf course site plan that's been submitted. That will be reviewed by the building department and planning staff. And as long as it is consistent in theory with the layout of the golf course as submitted, they'll be able to approve that without having to come back through a site plan process like we would for each and every phase of a commercial development. Those are the changes that are associated with that, as long as the maps and exhibits. The Planning Commission again forwards a positive recommendation for this amendment to the PUD master plan and narrative.
All right, thank you, Mr. Connor. Again, this is the first reading of this amendment to the ordinance. There will be a public meeting on June 15th. Any additional comments? Okay. Public hearing as well on the 15th, sorry. Anything else you guys need to add? All right. Next, we'll look at resolution number 1599, 2026. Mr. Connor?
Mayor, this is a proposed resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a cooperative service agreement between the City of Spanish Fort and the United States Department of Agricultural, Animal, Plant, and Health Inspection Services and Wildlife Services. This is a proposed agreement with that agency to allow for the trapping and control of certain animals that have become nuisance or problems or attacking other animals. The amount of the contract is $4,000 to be on an as-needed basis as determined by the mayor based on need. This is not a new agreement. It is a renewal of an old agreement. It's a new agreement going forward, but the city had engaged with this department and contractors in the past to deal with nuisance animals. And this is basically a continuation of that project based on additional funding and need that has been expressed by the citizens.
All right, thank you, Mr. Connor. I know there was some conversation, Mr. McDonald, during the work session. Is there anything you'd like to add?
Nothing other than we do know now that trapping has been going on, and we've caught a few. And this just to be a continuation of what we've already done in the past.
Yeah. All right, thank you, Mr. McDonald. I know there was a family here that lost a pet
Yes, sir.
several weeks back, so I'm hoping this will help with that. This is now the first reading of this, so we'll hold it over to the next meeting. If there's anyone that wants to voice an opinion either way, for or against this, I would invite the family that was here to come out for that one as well.
Yes, sir. We'll make contact with them and let them know.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. McDonald. Any other comments? All right. Next, we'll look at resolution number 1600, 2026. Mr. Connor?
Mayor, this is a resolution authorizing an agreement between the City of Spanish Fort and AWE Learning to provide new learning workstations for the Spanish Fort Library. This would have different offerings, but to be used by anyone on an as-needed basis in the library. The total amount of the contract is $18,052. The contractor has agreed to leave the proposal in place to June 15th in order to allow for consideration by the City Council. But most importantly, this is a product and a recommendation by and through the Friends of the Library to provide funding, and they've agreed to provide half the funding as a matching fund to make the contract go forward, and engaging in the work in their support of the library, which I know the library Shaven Spencer appreciates. And she's came forward to make a recommendation, so it's been placed on the agenda to allow for that contract to be considered by the City Council.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. Any comments from the council? Mr. Smith, as the chairman of the library board, anything you'd like to add?
I just reiterate, thank you to the Friends of the Library for pushing this forward and coming up with half the funding. That's great.
No, they do a lot. I know between the Spirit Nights they do at different restaurants, and of course the book sale they just had recently a couple weeks ago. A lot of that goes a long way to help an outfit. A lot of things there in the library, and this will as well. Mr. Connor, would you like to just elaborate on this with the confidential contract? We're trying to get some things back.
Yeah, there's sometimes when we have new vendors, we have to explain how contracting works. That they sent to us, they had the words confidential and proprietary, and in the terms and the conditions of the contract, it says that all documents marked confidential and proprietary cannot be disclosed publicly without their approval. Well, we cannot have a public contract that's approved. It has to be, all the terms and conditions of it have to be made open to the public. And so we've introduced a resolution and provided it to the City Council, but we have to wait until we get their approval in order to submit it publicly. In the event we do not get their approval to release it, then we will not be able to consider it because we just can't approve. All the terms and conditions of contracts have to be made open to the public for consideration under the Open Meetings Act.
Okay.
And so we're waiting on their approval to do that. It's being introduced tonight and be considered at the next meeting.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Connor. Any other comments there on the AWE? All right. And finally, we'll look at ordinance number 740, 2026. Mr. Connor?
Mayor, the City Council has been engaged in numerous work sessions and meetings for the purpose of interviewing a new city clerk for the City of Spanish Fort. The City of Spanish Fort has had two clerks up to this point. Mary Lynn Williams was the first city clerk and retired, I believe, around 2021, 2022 after serving 28 years as city clerk. Becky Gaines was the second city clerk and served for approximately 5 years. And this ordinance, if approved tonight, would appoint Susan L. Nance as the next city clerk treasurer to serve until the next general election. And she would be the third city clerk of the City of Spanish Fort. The City Council has gone through an exhaustive effort and time reviewing applications, meeting, discussing in order to make the right choice in this matter. And this is being presented tonight for your consideration.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Connor. Comments on this ordinance?
It was a pleasure getting to know all the candidates, but particularly Ms. Nance stood out. Very, very qualified. We're lucky to be able to consider her tonight.
Yeah, I agree. We interviewed a lot of people, and I think Susan Nance clearly separated herself from the pack.
Right. Do we have a a motion to approve ordinance number 740, 2026, appointing Susan L. Nance, City Clerk and Treasurer of the City of Spanish Fort.
With pride, I would like us to approve ordinance number 740-2026.
Second.
Roll call, Ms. White.
Smith,
Yes.
Gustafson,
Yes.
Ramsey,
Yes.
Wynn,
Yes.
Brabner,
Yes.
Mayor Bass.
Yes. The motion is approved, appointing Susan L. Nance. Judge Rose is here tonight. Ms. Nance, Mr. Nance, would you guys mind approaching the podium? Real quick, we're excited to have Susan with us. I'll just reiterate what Kurt said as well. You know, we interviewed a lot of great folks. Susan has, I guess, 8-9 years of planning and clerk experience. So we've got a certified city clerk and then master municipal clerk that will be joining us. So we're excited for you to start and get started. All right, awesome. Congratulations.
When does she start, Brad? Tomorrow morning, like, all right. Get some good rest.
All right, anything else? Any comments? Any further items we need to discuss? We have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Smith, Gustafson,
Yes.
Ramsey,
Yes.
Wynn,
Yes.
Brabner, Mayor Bass.
Yes. Meeting is adjourned.